This is our country project on Korea.
Korea is an East Asian country located on a peninsula between China and Japan. It is divided up into two separate countries known as South and North Korea. The North uses a socialist structured society and government, while the South uses a more democratic ideology. Both countries have rich history, culture, and many interesting locations to visit.
During the time of Jesus Christ, Korea was divided into the kingdoms of Goguryeo, Bakje, and Silla in a period known as the Three Kingdoms. By 688, Silla conquered much of the Korean peninsula and created a united Silla. In 935, King Gyeongsung conquered the unified Silla, which then ceased to exist. Later on in 1392, General Lee Seong-gye overthrew the Goryeo dynasty and started the Joseon dynasty. This replaced Buddhism as the primary religion with Neo-Confucianism. Therefore, many wealthy Buddhists lost wealth and power. The Joseon dynasty is regarded as the longest-lasting dynasty in East Asia from the past millennium. Later on in 1894 and 1895, Meiji Japan and Qing China struggled for control in Korea. Japan eventually defeats China and gains control over Korea due to the ineffective leadership of Korean child kings. Korea struggled for independence against the repressive Japanese, which was partially successful until the Russo-Japanese War. In 1905, the Russians and Japanese fought each other in order to gain control over Japan. Japan unexpectedly defeated Russia and established Korea as a Japanese protectorate on July 25, 1905. Japan eventually annexed Korea in 1910 and governed over it. Soon after the Koreans fought for Korean independence, the Korean War sprung up. From June 25, 1950 to July 27, 1953, Korea split into the two parts we now know today. The North, receiving Chinese and USSR support for the socialist ideology, fought the South, who received US support for the more democratic ideology. The conflict was never fully resolved and resulted in the 38th parallel, demilitarized zone, splitting up Korea into North Korea and South Korea. This zone is still heavily fortified today. Later on in South Korea, several military coups and assassinations resulted in a military government with martial law. In 1986, South Korea eventually returned to a more democratic government. Meanwhile, North Korea continued to conform to communist philosophies. It also heavily invested in developing and manufacturing nuclear weapons, even though it signed the treaty on the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. North Korea eventually left the treaty and practiced extreme nuclear brinkmanship. Now, Kim Jong-un leads North Korea and they are testing more nuclear weaponry. South Korea's newly elected leader, Moon Jae-in, vows to peacefully and diplomatically resolve Korea's issues as he is the first democratically elected leader in South Korea. North Korea's civilians do not have much individual freedom as their lives are controlled by oppressive dictators. On the other hand, South Korea's more democratic government provides the individual with much more freedom in their actions.
All Koreans speak one language, which is Korean. The Korean language structure and grammar is similar to Japanese. Dialects are regional, differing in accent, but are similar enough to comprehend regardless of location. Koreans celebrate two main holidays, which are New Year's Day and Chuseok, which is a celebration of the 8th full moon. In Korean culture, family is the integral part of customs and life. Marriage is regarded as the rite of passage, and in each Korean family, the eldest son bears extra responsibility in the family, an example being taking care of the parents when they grow older. The elderly are also highly respected. Historically, Chinese and Japanese influences were seen in Korean art as a result of its geographical location between the two powerful nations. During these historic time periods, Korean music was also related to their many religions and natural cycles, giving rise to folk culture in rural areas, today still considered popular. Today, foreign influences have affected South Korean society in many aspects, such as word phrases, music, and economy. An example of this is the rise of fast food chains. What makes Korean culture unique is how they greet and communicate with each other. Bowing is a traditional method of greeting with the addition of handshakes for men. Respect and trust are displayed through deeper bows. Discussions are sometimes prolonged to avoid the disrespectfulness of declining or refusing to talk. Koreans also consider it to be impolite to address someone with their given name, so instead they use professional titles such as Mr. or Miss. Lastly, it is insulting to be touched by unfamiliar people. Some Korean customs include not wearing shoes in the house, since Koreans view visits to homes as an honor and often treat them with respect and politeness. Another custom is that red ink is considered bad luck, since it is a symbol of death. A basic everyday meal consists of white rice and kimchi with side dishes that include vegetables, fish, and meats.
There are multiple different religions in South Korea, including Buddhism, Protestantism, Catholicism, Shamanism, Confucianism, and Islam. All religions are widely accepted in South Korea, and people have the freedom to choose any religion, which is guaranteed by the Korean Constitution. However, in North Korea, people do not have the freedom of religion, since the government views religion practices as a challenge to authority. Most religions are practiced privately in order to avoid persecution by the North Korean government. The religion in North Korea contains mainly Buddhism, Confucianism, and other small groups of different religions, but most of these practices are performed in secret. Religion has affected Korean culture because Koreans greatly believe in family life, which was influenced by Confucianism. According to Confucianism, the son must respect their parents and elderly, just like how the elderly are highly respected in Korea. Also, the younger child must also respect the elder son, which shows that the elder son bears more responsibility, which is integrated in Korean society today. Also, Buddhism affects Korea's modern-day society since Korean mothers are found praying at major shrines for their child to succeed in passing the university exams.
When it comes to food, kimchi is the most commonly recognized Korean dish. The popularization of kimchi can be traced back to Korean history all the way back to the introduction of Buddhism in the 4th century, which turned the Korean population into vegetarians due to the strict bans on killing any animal found in Buddhist teachings. Vegetables could not be stored for a long time, and salt allowed Koreans to better digest their high-carbohydrate diet, which featured rice. As a result, preserved vegetables became rather popular. With the adoption of Confucian ideology and its emphasis on familial tradition, the making of kimchi became a significant part of Korean culture. Each family developed their own kimchi recipe, and the quality of their kimchi reflected their cooking ability. Modern kimchi did not exist until the 17th century, when a war with Japan introduced the Koreans to the red pepper necessary to make the spicy kimchi that is commonly eaten today. In modern times, kimchi refers to the side dishes that come with every Korean meal. They usually consist of vegetables fermented in salt or soy sauce, with different recipes calling for the addition of different auxiliary ingredients, such as garlic, pepper, or seafood.
Throughout Korea, there are many famous and beautiful locations to enjoy their culture and history. The Haeinsa Temple is an example of when Buddhism represented the majority of religion in Korea. It was a 1,200-year-old Kannon Buddhist temple. It still contains many old artifacts and shows how Buddhism was a prominent religion in Korea. Another example of historical culture is shown in Yangdong Traditional Village. It is a village that maintained its traditions from the Chosun Dynasty era. Another historic site is Gyeongbokgung Palace. It was a royal palace in the 1300s, until it was burned down and rebuilt during the Japanese invasions. It serves as an architectural showcase of the Korean neoclassical style. More modern start with the 38th parallel, or the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ. This heavily fortified border is a split between North and South Korea, between communism and democracy. The tension that fills this area serves as a reminder to the world that conflicts are threatened by tension. North Korea's main center is Pyongyang, its capital city. It contains most of the tourist attractions and sites on this list. One site, known as Kim Song-II Square, was used to serve as a meeting place for socialist propaganda rallies. The area is filled with such propaganda and tributes to the dear leader, or Kim Song-II, and Lenin and Trotsky. Similarly, Juche Tower and the Workers' Party Monument in North Korea symbolize the various political and socialist ideals that North Korea practices. Surprisingly, North Korea is home to the world's largest stadium, known as Pyongyang Stadium. It can seat up to 200,000 people. It is a spectacle to see when the stadium is filled with people to watch their annually hosted games. South Korea's cultural center is its capital city, Seoul. In it are several tourist and cultural attractions where you can taste local food and experience their culture. One popular site is North Seoul Tower. It is the tallest viewpoint in Seoul, which gives the city a splendid view of the city. It also houses a museum and many restaurants. A more impactful site is the UN Memorial Cemetery. It holds the casualties from the 16 United Nations that fought during the Korean War. It provides a meaningful experience and shows how the world's conflicts have severe repercussions if they get out of hand. Another impactful site is Nuri Peace Park. This was a park created in reaction to the 2005 Global Peace Conference. It symbolizes the hope that one day Korea will peacefully reunite. For more information on culture and history of Korea, you can visit the National Museum of Korea. It houses many relics and various information on Korea's past and present. It's a perfect place to summarize Korea's diverse culture.
Overall, Korea displays various attractions and sights to see. On top of that, it contains a riveting history with a wonderful culture to accompany it. With religion being an ever-present factor to the country, but not the controller of events, an exciting experience is available to anyone who visits. In addition, Korea is a safe place to travel to, despite the fears presented to the foreign eye by North Korea and its nuclear weapons program. The communities are safer than in most other countries, and most of the population is welcome to foreign sightseeing.